Today, we're diving into true stories of people who face impossible odds and somehow made out alive. These are moments where the human will to survive pushed the body far beyond its limits. The man who was hunted, John Colter. The year is 1809. Fur trapper John Colter and his partner John Potts are quietly paddling up the Jefferson River in what is now Montana. They know this land is dangerous. Just a few years earlier, Colter had traveled through the region as part of the famous expedition led by Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. During that journey, tensions with local tribes were already high. Now, the fur trade is booming, and that boom has brought outsiders into territory controlled by the Blackfeet, who see American trappers as a threat. Colter and Potts try to move quietly. No talking, no splashing. Then they round a bend. Warriors line the riverbank. Hundreds of them. The two men have no choice but to pull ashore. They're immediately disarmed. Colter is stripped of everything. Potts refuses to leave the canoe. A warning arrow hits him. In panic, he fires back. He doesn't get a second shot. Colter is forced to watch as his partner is killed. Then something unexpected happens. Instead of killing him, the chief points toward the open prairie and gives a single command: run. At first, Colter thinks he's being spared. Then the war cries begin. It's not mercy. It's a hunt. Naked and unarmed, Colter sprints across rough ground, cut his feet on rocks and tearing his skin on brush. He knows a river lies miles ahead. His only chance. Blood pours from his nose. His vision blurs. Then he hears footsteps behind him. One warrior is closing in. With no strength left to run, Colter turns and charges. The sudden move startles the pursuer, who stumbles and drops his spear. Colter grabs it and strikes first. He runs again. At last, he reaches a river and dives into the freezing water, hiding beneath a beaver lodge with only a tiny pocket of air to breathe. Warriors search the area for hours. Colter doesn't move. When night finally falls and the voices fade, he slips away. For the next 11 days, he travels more than 300 miles through wilderness, surviving on roots and berries. When he finally reaches a trading post, he's barely recognizable, but he's alive. The doctor who operated on himself, Leonid Rogozov. In 1960, a young Soviet surgeon named Leonid Rogozov arrives at a remote Antarctic research station. He's the only doctor for the entire team. Months later, he wakes up with fever, nausea, and sharp pain in his abdomen, appendicitis. Normally, this would mean a simple operation, but here, there is no hospital, no evacuation. A blizzard has sealed him in. If his appendix ruptures, he will die. There's only one option. He will operate on himself. With 3 co-workers assisting, Rogozov positions a mirror over his abdomen and injects local anesthetic. Sitting half upright, he makes the first incision. At first, he relies on the mirror. Soon, the angle becomes too confusing. He continues by touch alone. Blood fills the wound. His vision blurs. Every few minutes, he stops to fight off dizziness and nausea. At one point, he accidentally cuts part of his intestine and must stitch it before continuing. Nearly 2 hours after he began, he finds and removes the appendix, already close to rupturing. Then he closes the incision himself. Days later, his fever finally breaks. 2 weeks after performing surgery on his own body, Rogozov is back at work. The girl who fell from the sky, Julianne Koepke. On December 24th, 1971, 17-year-old Julianne Koepke boarded a flight over Peruvian rainforest with her mother. Half an hour into the trip, the plane flies directly into a violent thunderstorm. Lightning strikes. The aircraft begins to break apart in midair. Julianne is still strapped to her seat when she falls from more than 10,000 feet into the Amazon. She wakes up the next morning on the forest floor, alive, but she's alone. Her injuries include a broken collarbone, deep cuts, and a severe concussion. She's also lost her glasses, and she's extremely nearsighted. But Julianne has one advantage. Her parents were biologists, and she had spent time living in the rainforest. She remembers one critical rule: find water. Follow it. It leads to people. With only a small bag of candy she finds in the wreckage, she begins walking. Days pass. Her wound becomes infected. Insects lay larvae inside the open flesh. She grows weaker and weaker. On the fourth day, she finds a stream. She follows it. After 10 days alone in the jungle, starving and barely able to walk, she sees something on the riverbank, a boat. Nearby, there's a small shelter, empty but stocked with fuel. Using gasoline, she flushes the wound and removes dozens of maggots. Exhausted, she collapses inside. The next morning, local fishermen arrive. They bring her to safety. Of the 92 people aboard Lancer Flight 508, Julianne is the only survivor. Different places, different dangers. A man hunted across open land. A doctor trapped at the bottom of the world. A teenager alone in one of the most dangerous environments on Earth. What they all had in common was simple. They refused to give up. Because sometimes survival isn't about strength. It's about the decision to keep going. One more step, one more breath, one more moment.